The captain tried to board the ship like nothing was wrong, but the police dog blocked his path, and when he turned around, what he revealed left the entire dock in disbelief. Here's what happened. Now, before we get into today's story, drop a comment below telling us where in the world you're watching from. And if you love extraordinary police dogs, stories like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming next. The first rays of dawn painted the San Diego harbor in shades of gold and amber as Officer Jake Sullivan walked along the waterfront, his boots making soft tapping sounds against the concrete pier. Beside him, Rex moved with the fluid grace that never failed to impress Jake, even after 2 years together. The German Shepherd's dark coat gleamed in the early morning light, his alert eyes constantly scanning their surroundings, ears swiveling to catch sounds imperceptible to human hearing. "Another day, another dollar, eh, Rex?" Jake murmured, watching his partner's ears perk up at the sound of his name. The morning air carried the distinct aroma of salt water mingled with diesel fuel and the faint scent of fish from the nearby market. Seagulls cried overhead, circling above the docked vessels in hopes of an easy meal. The port was stirring to life around them. Stevedores securing cargo, maintenance crews running checks on equipment, customs officials beginning their rounds. Rex suddenly stopped, his body tensing as he focused on something in the distance. Jake followed his gaze to see a cargo vessel being guided to its berth by 2 tugboats, its hull riding low in the water. "That's the Meridian Star," came a voice from behind them. Jake turned to see Officer Maria Gonzalez approaching, coffee cup in hand. "Colombian Registry, scheduled for inspection this morning." "That's our assignment?" Jake asked, accepting the extra coffee she offered. Maria nodded, falling into step beside them. "Command wants a thorough job. West Coast ports have seen a 20% increase in drug seizures over the past 6 months. "Cartel's getting bolder," Jake commented, watching the vessel as it neared its assigned dock. "Or desperate." Rex's ears twitched as if he understood the conversation. Jake smiled, reaching down to scratch behind his partner's ears. Rex had completed specialized training in narcotics detection that had made him particularly valuable in port operations. His nose could detect the smallest traces of drugs, even through elaborate concealment methods. As they approached the Meridian Star, Jake observed the vessel more carefully. The Colombian flag fluttered from its stern, and crew members were visible on deck, preparing for docking procedures. Rex's nostrils flared slightly, his tail held higher, a subtle change that Jake had learned to recognize as heightened interest. The gangway creaked slightly under Jake's boots as he and Rex boarded the vessel. A stocky man in a crisp white uniform approached them as they reached the deck. Captain Victor Reyes had the weathered complexion of someone who had spent decades at sea. Deep lines etched around his eyes, his salt and pepper beard meticulously trimmed. "Welcome aboard the Meridian Star, officer. I'm Captain Reyes." His English carried a slight Colombian accent, his handshake firm and businesslike. "Officer Jake Sullivan, San Diego Harbor Police K-9 Unit." "This is Rex," Jake replied, observing how the captain's eyes flicked briefly to the German Shepherd before returning to Jake's face. "Standard inspection procedure today." Of course, Captain Reyes nodded, gesturing broadly. "Though I hope we can expedite this process. We're already behind schedule due to weather delays coming up from Cartagena, and we need to catch the afternoon tide." Jake noted the captain's apparent agitation, a slight tapping of his fingers against his thigh, repeated glances at his watch. Some nervousness around law enforcement was common, but something about Reyes's manner struck Jake as more calculated than genuinely rushed. "We'll be as efficient as possible, Captain, but we do need to be thorough," Jake replied evenly, watching as Rex calmly surveyed their surroundings, his nose working continuously. Captain Reyes led them to his office, a compact but organized space with nautical charts secured to the walls and a small desk dominated by a computer terminal and stacks of paperwork. He gathered several documents, handing them to Jake. "Our complete cargo manifest, crew list, and previous port clearances," he explained, pointing to different papers. "Everything is in order, as you'll see. We carry mostly manufacturing equipment, some textiles, coffee. Nothing unusual. Rex circled the small office, sniffing methodically along the edges. The captain's eyes followed the dog's movements, a bead of sweat forming at his temple despite the cool, air-conditioned space. The crew quarters were standard maritime accommodations, compact bunks stacked in twos with narrow lockers for personal effects. The first officer, a thin man named Rodriguez, led Jake and Rex through the maze-like corridors, explaining the ship's layout as they went. In the third cabin they entered, Rex's behavior shifted. The German Shepherd paused near the bunks, his nostrils flaring as he took in a particular scent. He circled back to a specific locker, his tail position changing slightly. Not yet the rigid posture of a full alert, but showing definite interest. "Whose bunks are these?" Jake asked Rodriguez. "Ah, Carlos Vega and Miguel Ortiz," Rodriguez replied, checking a clipboard. "Engine room crew." Jake nodded, opening the locker Rex had shown interest in. Nothing immediately suspicious, but Rex's continued interest was telling. As they continued their inspection, Jake became aware of Captain Reyes shadowing their movements, appearing at intersections and doorways with too much regularity to be coincidental. The inspection continued to the galley and common areas, where several off-duty crew members were playing cards. Rex's behavior changed dramatically as he focused on two men seated at the table, Carlos Vega and Miguel Ortiz. The heavy-set Vega shifted nervously in his seat while Ortiz, younger and leaner, kept his expression neutral, but his eyes darted repeatedly between the dog and the exit. "Gentlemen," Jake nodded to them, "we're conducting a routine inspection. I may have some questions for you shortly." The captain's quarters were at the end of a short corridor. As they approached, Reyes suddenly stepped in front of the door. "Officer, I must insist on privacy for my personal quarters, he said, his tone hardening. "Maritime protocol recognizes captain's quarters as private domain." Jake maintained a professional demeanor, despite the captain's transparent attempt to block their path. "With all due respect, Captain, our inspection authority under Port Security Code 27.4 includes all spaces on vessels docked in San Diego Harbor." Before Jake could say more, Rex moved purposefully around the captain to the door, then sat directly in front of it, his posture rigid and alert, the trained indication that he had detected contraband. "Rex is alerting, Captain," Jake said firmly. "I need to inspect your quarters immediately." Reyes's face paled slightly, but he maintained his composure. "This is ridiculous. Your dog is mistaken." "Rex doesn't make mistakes," Jake replied, his hand moving instinctively closer to his service weapon. "Please step aside, sir." After a tense moment, Reyes relented, unlocking the door. As it swung open, Rex entered immediately, moving with purpose toward a small safe mounted on the wall beside the captain's desk. He sat directly in front of it, his alert posture unmistakable. "I need you to open that safe, Captain," Jake said, his suspicions now fully aroused. "That contains ship's valuables and confidential documents. I cannot—" "Captain Reyes," Jake interrupted firmly, "I can get a warrant in 20 minutes, or you can open it now." As Reyes reluctantly moved toward the safe, Jake's mind flashed back to the day he'd first met Rex 2 years ago. His previous partner, a black Labrador named Shadow, had just retired after 7 faithful years of service. Jake had felt the loss keenly, not just of a working partner, but a friend who had been with him through some of the toughest moments of his career. Rex had been found during a drug bust in Tijuana. When the place was raided, the cartel tried to eliminate all evidence, including their dogs. Only Rex survived, shot twice but managing to escape into a drainage ditch. Border Patrol found him 2 days later, half-starved, but alive. Their first weeks together had been challenging. Rex followed commands perfectly but maintained an emotional distance that Jake's previous partner never had. The breakthrough came during their third drug interdiction operation, when Rex detected narcotics hidden inside engine parts that had foiled even electronic scanners. From that moment, their bond had strengthened daily. Jake came to understand that Rex's aloofness wasn't a flaw, but a careful assessment. He gave his trust only when earned, but once given, it was absolute. Now, watching Rex maintain his alert posture in front of the captain's safe, Jake felt the familiar certainty that had become the foundation of their partnership. If Rex indicated something was there, it was there regardless of rank, authority, or protestations of innocence. Harbor Police Command, this is Officer Sullivan, K-9 Unit. I'm requesting backup aboard the Meridian Star. We have a positive alert situation, Jake said into his radio. The safe door swung open with a soft metallic click. Inside were several items, a small leather pouch, a passport, a thumb drive, and a leather-bound logbook that didn't match the official ship's log Jake had seen earlier. Step back, please, Jake instructed Reyes, who complied with visible tension in his shoulders. The leather pouch yielded the first concrete evidence, a small plastic bag containing white powder and another with several small, pale tablets. Field testing would be necessary to confirm, but Jake had little doubt about what they were. Captain Reyes, can you explain this? Jake asked, his voice professionally neutral despite the significant discovery. Those aren't mine, Reyes replied automatically, the denial so quick and practiced that it only heightened Jake's suspicions. Someone must have placed them there. The logbook proved more immediately revealing. Instead of ship's operations, it contained columns of numbers, dates, and coded notations that clearly documented something the captain didn't want officially recorded. As Jake worked, he heard the sound of additional officers boarding the vessel, his requested backup arriving. Rex remained focused on the safe, suggesting there might be something more hidden within. Jake ran his fingers carefully along the edges of the safe's lining and found what he was looking for, a slight ridge that didn't match the manufacturing design. Gently pulling at it revealed a false bottom, and beneath it, folded documents. Shipping manifests that didn't match the official ones provided earlier, with specific container numbers highlighted. Officer Daniels, Jake addressed one of the backup officers who had just entered the cabin. I need these items secured and transported to evidence, and please escort Captain Reyes to the main deck while we continue our inspection. Jake examined the captain's desk and discovered a hidden drawer built into its underside, revealing more documentation. Photographs of specific cargo containers with handwritten notation about their special contents and the names of their handlers. Among the photographs, two faces stood out immediately, Carlos Vega and Miguel Ortiz, the crewmen who had caught Rex's attention earlier. Command, we have evidence of multiple crew members involved in contraband transport, requesting permission to detain the following individuals for questioning, Carlos Vega and Miguel Ortiz. The response was immediate. Permission granted. Additional officers are en route. The cargo hold of the Meridian Star was a cavernous space filled with stacked containers in neat rows, secured with heavy chains. Jake led Rex through the narrow walkways between container stacks, accompanied by two additional officers. Container D421 should be in Section 3, Officer Daniels said, consulting a digital map of the cargo arrangement. As they approached the section, Jake noticed two crewmen working nearby, seemingly securing a loose chain on a container. When they spotted the police officers and dog, their movements became noticeably stiffer. Rex, search, Jake commanded, allowing the dog to lead their inspection route. Without hesitation, Rex headed directly toward container D421, circled it once, then sat precisely at its doors, the trained indication that he had detected narcotics. We've got a hit, Jake announced. Let's get this container opened. Rex found two more containers exactly as indicated in the captain's hidden documents. As the first container was opened, Jake and Rex stood ready. The container doors swung outward to reveal what appeared to be standard industrial equipment, large manufacturing components packed in wooden crates. Rex immediately entered the container and alerted on a specific crate near the back. The crate was labeled as hydraulic press components and appeared normal, complete with appropriate export documentation attached. But when they pried open the wooden slats, the deception became clear. The equipment itself had been hollowed out, creating concealed compartments within the metal casings. Inside these compartments, vacuum-sealed packages were neatly arranged, dozens of them. Unbelievable, Jake murmured. examining the craftsmanship of the concealment. The hollow spaces had been precision cut into the equipment with specialized rubber seals to prevent moisture damage. The interior had been lined with activated carbon fabric, a technique Jake had heard about but never witnessed firsthand, designed specifically to trap and neutralize odor molecules before they could escape. Whoever designed this knew exactly what they were doing, he observed, carefully extracting one of the packages. This isn't amateur work. The dimensions are exact, the seals are professional grade. This is cartel engineering. Sophisticated concealment, Officer Daniels commented, examining the modified equipment, would have gone right through standard inspection. They spent more on the concealment than most smugglers spend on their entire operation, Jake noted, running his fingers along the custom-built compartments. Even thermal imaging would show this as normal machinery because of how they've distributed the weight. Jake nodded, using a testing kit on one of the packages. The chemical reaction confirmed what Rex had already indicated: cocaine, and from the purity reaction, extremely high grade. As they moved to the second container, Jake noticed movement on a catwalk above them. Carlos Vega and Miguel Ortiz were attempting to move quietly along the elevated walkway, clearly trying to avoid detection. "Daniels, we've got runners," Jake said quietly, gesturing upward. "Take Peterson and circle around to cut them off at the portside exit." The second container revealed a similar concealment method, this time drugs hidden inside industrial air conditioning units bound for a distributor in Los Angeles. A sudden commotion above indicated that Vega and Ortiz had spotted the officers moving to intercept them. They split up, Ortiz continuing toward the exit while Vega climbed higher into the ship's superstructure. "Harbor police! Stop where you are!" Daniels shouted. Ortiz froze momentarily, then made a desperate lunge for the exit. He didn't make it 3 steps before Daniels tackled him to the metal grating, securing him with zip tie restraints within seconds. Vega, meanwhile, had disappeared into the maze of catwalks above the cargo hold. "All units, we have a crewman evading capture in the upper sections of the cargo hold," Jake reported into his radio. "Approach with caution. Suspect may be armed." As additional officers secured Ortiz and continued the container inspections, Jake kept Rex close, scanning for any sign of the escaped crewman. "Sir," a young officer approached Jake, his expression concerned. "We can't locate Captain Reyes. He was being held on the main deck, but during the commotion with the crewman, he somehow slipped away from his escort." Jake felt a surge of concern. "Lock down all exit points from the vessel," he ordered. "No one gets off without being cleared through me." As if confirming his suspicions, Rex suddenly tensed, his attention shifting to the far end of the hold. The German Shepherd gave a short, sharp bark, a sound Jake recognized not as an alert for drugs, but as an indication of a human presence trying to conceal itself. "I think our captain is making a break for it," Jake said. "Let's go, Rex." Jake and Rex moved swiftly through the corridor, emerging onto the main deck, where the afternoon sun momentarily blinded them. Rex paused, nose working the air currents, then turned sharply toward the starboard side, where the gangway connected the vessel to the dock. Through the bustling activity of officers securing the scene, Jake caught a glimpse of Captain Reyes, attempting to blend in with a group of port workers near the gangway. Despite having removed his white uniform jacket, the captain's authoritative bearing made him stand out. "Captain Reyes!" Jake called out. "Stop where you are!" The captain froze momentarily, then bolted toward the gangway, shoving aside a startled customs official. "Rex, block!" Jake commanded, unleashing specialized training that set Port Authority K-9s apart. Rex shot forward like a torpedo, easily outpacing both Jake and the fleeing captain. Instead of pursuing to apprehend, the German Shepherd executed his training perfectly, racing ahead to position himself directly on the gangway, effectively cutting off Reyes' escape route. The captain skidded to a halt, confronted by 80 pounds of focused, disciplined German Shepherd blocking his path to freedom. Rex wasn't growling or showing aggression. He didn't need to. His stance was unmistakable. Nobody was getting past him. "Out of my way, dog!" Reyes shouted, trying to muster his captain's authority. "Move!" Rex remained immovable, his eyes locked on the captain, his posture communicating more clearly than words that compliance was the only option. By now, several officers had responded to the commotion, moving to surround the captain. Jake approached steadily, keeping his voice calm despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "It's over, Captain. There's nowhere to go." Reyes looked frantically between the approaching officers, the dock beyond the gangway, and the implacable dog barring his path. For a moment, Jake thought he might surrender, the rational choice given his situation. Instead, the captain turned suddenly and sprinted toward the opposite side of the vessel. "He's heading for the water!" Jake shouted, immediately giving chase with Rex at his side. The captain ran with the desperation of a man facing decades in prison, dodging between cargo winches and ventilation housings. Despite being in his 50s, fear and adrenaline lent him surprising speed. Reyes reached the starboard railing and without hesitation vaulted over it in a smooth motion that spoke of his years at sea. Jake reached the railing seconds later, in time to see the captain hit the water 15 feet below with a substantial splash. "Command, suspect is in the water off the starboard side," Jake reported into his radio. "Requesting Harbor Patrol boat intercept." Reyes surfaced, gasping for air, then began swimming strongly toward a commercial pier about 100 yards away. If he reached it, the maze of warehouses and shipping containers would make apprehension significantly more difficult. Jake made a split-second decision. "Rex, water pursuit!" It was a specialized command that not all police dogs were trained to execute, but Rex had demonstrated exceptional abilities in maritime operations. Without hesitation, the German Shepherd leaped over the railing, entering the water with precision that minimized the splash. Jake raced toward the nearest access ladder, maintaining visual contact with both the swimming captain and his partner, cutting through the water with powerful strokes. Rex was a natural swimmer, his strong build and determination propelling him rapidly toward Reyes. The captain glanced over his shoulder, his eyes widening, when he saw the dog gaining on him. He altered course slightly, likely hoping to reach shallower water, near some moored pleasure craft. Rex closed the distance methodically, neither wasting energy with splashing nor losing focus on his target. His powerful shoulders cut through the water with a rhythmic precision that spoke to countless hours of specialized maritime training. Unlike many police dogs who were taught basic water recovery, Rex had undergone intensive nautical pursuit certification, a specialized program developed specifically for harbor and coastal canine units. Jake had reached the dock level now, running along the concrete pier to maintain visual contact and be ready when they reached shore. Reyes was tiring visibly, his strokes becoming less coordinated as the weight of his clothing dragged at him. When Rex came within a few yards, the captain tried to dive, perhaps hoping to swim beneath the dog and throw him off the trail. But Rex anticipated the move, circling slightly to intercept Reyes when he resurfaced. As the captain came up for air, he found himself face to face with the determined German Shepherd. "Give it up, Captain," Jake called from the nearest pier. "Harbor Patrol is 30 seconds out, and Rex won't let you go." Reyes made one last desperate attempt, trying to splash water into the dog's face. Rex simply adjusted his position, maintaining a perfect distance, close enough to apprehend if commanded, but not so close as to risk drowning the suspect. The fight finally went out of Captain Reyes. His shoulders slumped in defeat as he treaded water, watching the Harbor Patrol boat approaching with its lights flashing. Officers pulled Reyes from the water as Jake directed Rex to swim to a nearby boat ramp. The German Shepherd obeyed immediately, powerful strokes carrying him to shore, where Jake met him, towel in hand. "Extraordinary dog you have there," commented the Harbor Patrol officer as they secured the handcuffed and dripping Reyes. "Never seen anything like that water pursuit." Jake nodded, a mixture of pride and relief washing over him as he dried Rex's coat. "Best partner I could ask for," he replied simply, rewarding the dog with a thorough ear scratching. "He never gives up." The San Diego Harbor Police briefing room buzzed with activity the following morning. What had been a standard shift briefing had transformed into a multi-agency debriefing on the Meridian Star seizure. Representatives from DEA, Customs and Border Protection, and even FBI filled the room to capacity. Chief Gardner stepped to the front of the room, and the conversations immediately quieted. Good morning, everyone. As you're all aware, yesterday's operation resulted in one of the largest drug seizures in our port's history. He gestured to the screen behind him, where images of the recovered contraband appeared, neat rows of packaged cocaine arranged on evidence tables, the sophisticated concealment methods documented in detail. Final count confirmed this morning. 237 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of approximately $14.2 million. Additionally, intelligence gathered has already led to the interception of a second shipment in Long Beach early this morning. Chief Gardner's gaze found Jake in the back of the room. This operation began as a routine inspection by Officer Sullivan and his canine partner Rex. Their attention to detail and Officer Sullivan's willingness to trust his partner's instincts, when others might have moved on, exemplifies the highest standards of the Harbor Police. DEA Agent Ramirez stepped forward next. The detection work performed by K9 Officer Rex represents a significant breakthrough in our understanding of cartel concealment techniques. The masking compounds used in this operation were specifically developed to defeat standard detection methods, including canine units. When the briefing concluded, Chief Gardner approached Jake. Sullivan, I won't keep you long. I know you're due back on patrol, but I wanted to personally acknowledge the work you and Rex did yesterday. That level of intuition, knowing something was off about the captain, even before you had evidence, that's what separates good officers from great ones. Thank you, sir, Jake replied. Rex made the initial alert. I just followed his lead. The chief smiled knowingly. The partnership goes both ways. Rex is exceptional, but he needs a handler who trusts him implicitly. He extended his hand. Well done, both of you. Their patrol route took them past the dock where the Meridian Star remained secured, now with evidence tape across its gangway and Coast Guard personnel maintaining security as the investigation continued. Jake paused for a moment, looking at the vessel. You knew from the beginning, didn't you? He said to Rex, who sat attentively beside him. Something about Reyes just didn't smell right. Rex's ears perked forward, his intelligent eyes fixed on his handler as if considering the question seriously. Either way, you did good work yesterday, partner. Really good work. Jake reached into his pocket and pulled out a tennis ball. Rex's favorite reward. The German Shepherd's posture immediately shifted from professional to eager, though still disciplined as he waited for permission. Go get it, boy, Jake said, tossing the ball down the empty pier. Rex bounded after it with unrestrained joy, his usually serious demeanor transformed by the simple pleasure of play. He returned with the ball, dropping it at Jake's feet with an expectant look that clearly communicated his desire for another throw. Jake obliged, watching his partner's powerful frame race after the bouncing ball. These moments of pure, uncomplicated happiness were the perfect counterbalance to the intense, often dangerous work they did together. As Rex returned again, Jake knelt to ruffle the fur around his neck. You know what the best part is, he said quietly. You don't even care about the size of the bust or the value of the drugs. You just love doing your job. Rex pressed his head into Jake's hand, a rare moment of open affection from the normally reserved dog. We make a pretty good team, don't we? In answer, Rex simply dropped the ball again, ready for more play before they continued their patrol. Another day of watching over the harbor, alert for whatever might come next. Have you ever witnessed a working dog in action at a port or border crossing? What impressed you most about their abilities? These remarkable animals can detect substances that would remain completely hidden to human senses, often making the critical difference between a successful smuggling operation and a major seizure. What would you have done if you were Officer Sullivan when the captain tried to use his authority to stop the inspection? Would you have trusted your canine partner's instincts even when faced with pushback from someone in a position of authority? If you enjoyed this story of canine heroism, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible tales of police dogs in action. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss our new uploads. Share this video with fellow dog lovers and anyone who appreciates the incredible work these four-legged officers perform every day keeping our communities safe. Check out our previous Canine Hero videos appearing on your screen right now, and join us tomorrow at the same time for another amazing story.